Hey, guess what? Bryant's back, baby. How we all doing tonight? You know, it's Manic Monday. Coast to coast got pushed off till tomorrow, so that's when our guy Ty will be able to make it. I don't know, man. Like, where to start? Like, honestly, when it comes to our QB situation, I think it was a case of Matt. All right, who's the less injured, Purdy or Mac Jones? Who's less injured? Because Mac Jones actually has a sprained, I think, is it a PCL? It's one of the CLs. It's one of the CLs. There's a few. I think it's a PCL. But so he's banged up. This is the story of our life, Bryant. Right? Let's start Shanahan, like his first year. Who he had? He had Hoyer the Destroyer, right?
Yep, and CJ beat hard.
Oh, dude. Now, but Hoyer got hurt, right?
He got scared. He got scared.
And CJ Beathard came in, and that guy is tough, okay? He is tough. CJ Beathard could take some hits, folks. He can.
Should have been a boxer.
You ain't lying, Then we went through a couple guys, and all of a sudden here come, they traded for that guy whose ironically jersey is hanging in the background there.
Oh, you mean this? No, this is a customized.
I was just looking at that. I was looking at that like, why, Bryant?
So the fans could see this is a Mac Jones jersey, not a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey.
That's right. See, it says Jones on it, folks.
Yeah, for anybody who needs any help customizing or can't do it on their own, just let me know and we can take care of it. You can take a Jimmy Garoppolo or a Kyle Williams or any kind of player like that you just don't care about anymore. Why throw the jersey away? Do not burn a jersey. Let's recycle, reuse. Let's help our environment.
Look, Wolf, buddy. Like, yeah, we're back. If you're watching and you can, I think you still have my phone number. You should just text me. Like, I'd have to look and see if I do still have your phone number. I think I do. It's been too long since I talked to Wolf, man. But yeah, you're always welcome to come on, buddy. I know Wednesday night's chaos and mayhem. Like, that's just, I do. Holy cow. My new phone even.
So, David, do you believe that Brock Purdy was fully healthy?
No. 100% no. Because look at his throws throughout the game. They're all 2 inches high, right? And the toe, it's his plant foot. So when he goes and plants, it sends a shot of pain through him while he's throwing, and the ball's 2 inches high. No, he wasn't healthy.
So we believe Mac Jones wasn't healthy, Brock Purdy wasn't healthy, and I look at the team and I felt like a lack of energy, like a lack of. The guys seem to be trying.
Right. We just started through the QB injury history, buddy. Remember James came in. We're at 2017 now, right? Right. 2018. James is a starter, baby. He looked good those 5 games. We signed him to a big contract, torn ACL.
Boom.
Here come Nick Mullins, right? And later in the season, here comes CJ Beathard. Like 3 quarterbacks that year, 2 quarterbacks the year or 3 the year before, right? 2019, It's all James. Somehow the guy's able to keep it together, stay healthy. We go to the Super Bowl. We all know how that ended. We don't want to talk about that. 2020, James gets hurt. here comes more quarterbacks. Like, I think we only went through 2, right? In 2020?
Well, it was like 2018. We lost Jimmy to his ACL, and then 2019 we go to the Super Bowl, and then 2020 he hurt his thumb or something like that, right? And then
That was 2021. 2020 is when he got the like leg injury on MetLife's fantastic stadium, you know, that polyurethane hardened field they got, you know. Like, it's ridiculous.
he's
But
been hurt. He's been hurt quite a bit.
I honestly think we only went through 2 QBs in 2020. But yeah,
Because 2019 we went to the Super Bowl. 2020 was that weird year that nobody was like playing in front of anybody because of COVID. 2021, what, we went back to the Super Bowl 2021? Or that was the year we lost to the.
it was the year that unfortunately we lost to the Rams. Now, James was also hurt that year. It was him and Trey Lance. They were the guys playing. Trey Lance even got hurt. But so, you know, he started out the year with like a finger injury or something, then his knee. So James ended up like doing something to his foot and his thumb that year. That was the year he did something to his thumb.
Yeah, he had like a high ankle sprain, and he had a thumb, like a torn ligament in his thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we got all kinds of people in the chat. Bebop Wolf, my guy, buddy. You know, we should do a show sometime. Dingleberry Sports Highlights, what up? Hey, we got this guy, Bryant Culp. Everyone knows him. He's right there. Now, yep, there he is. Yeah, it's funny. I texted him. I'm like, hey, I still have his number. Like, sometimes you forget, folks. Always talk to your friends and check up on them, make sure they're okay. All right.
It helps. It really does. You haven't heard somebody
But
for a
it's
while.
that kid. What's up, man? Now this is something we'll talk about in a little bit. I'll literally bring this comment back up. But so now we're in 2021. You know, we lost. There we go. We got sent home by the Rams. All right, I'm gonna go take a shower real fast from saying that, folks. I'll be and then, you know, 2022. Here we go. You know, we got Trey Lance, we got James. Everyone's like, ooh, who's going to be the starter? We take this kid with the last pick in the draft named Brock Purdy. Right? Wasn't that 22? Yes, that was 22. But then, you know, we still have James on the roster. Trey Lance has announced he's going to be the starter, buddy. Yeah. You know, the 3rd pick overall in the draft. We're going to see the future of the franchise. In game 2, he gets his ankle broke by the Seahawks. And James lasted until week 13 when he tried to take off when he had 2 300-pound mammoths on his back. Now, this just doesn't sound like a wise decision, in my opinion. You know? So here we are. That's quarterback 2, right? We bring in Brock Purdy. Looks really good for the rest of the year. We went out. We go all the way to the NFC Championship game. And here comes Hassan Reddick to rip up his elbow. And here comes Josh Johnson, 4th quarterback that year. He gets a concussion. So they end up bringing a one-armed quarterback back in because we had no choice. I don't know if y'all are getting the theme I'm getting at here, but we'll definitely be getting there. So 2023, Brock stays healthy. We go to the Super Bowl. Can't pull it out. Right?
Now, what, in your opinion, was that because of the quarterback or coaching or overall team? Because it's 3 different issues, right?
At this point, during that game, there were some mistakes where you can't put it on one player or one coach. But coming out after halftime and trying to pass the ball against an all-pro and, perennial Pro Bowl defensive backfield when the run game was working, that's on Shanahan. That was 3 straight 3-and-outs right after halftime in that, if no one remembers. And it's like, dude, why are you trying to pass the ball? Like, these guys are like legit defensive backfield. There's no way you're going to be doing that. Like, you need to run the ball and then pass off a play action against that team, but what do I know? I'm just a fan, right? So, and 2024 come around and, oh my goodness. Like, I think, I can't remember. I think we were the 4th most injured team in the league. So something like that. Like, we lost a lot of guys to injuries. It went downhill fast, and poor coaching too. I'm going to say that right now. Poor coaching on the defensive side. Our assistants were all mid. And, here we are, and, Purdy got hurt. He got hit. He got hurt. So here we are in 2025, right? Mac Jones is getting hit. His knee's banged up. Brock Purdy, the turf toe you can't blame on a hit, but the shoulder you can, right? So why are our quarterbacks getting hurt?
Well, let's ask that question and maybe refine it a little bit. Is it just our quarterbacks that are getting hurt, or is our team getting hurt? Because it seems like we've had a strength and conditioning issue for several years now, and this predates the Shanahan era.
Yes. Now, and also, and I've heard from players that come from other teams that Kyle Shanahan is like, the practices are turned up. It's like, maybe he needs to dial that back a little bit. Look at your history. You could tell me I'm lying, but look at your history. Maybe you need to dial the practices back just a little bit.
Well, it's funny that players
but
say
at
that.
The same time,
David, it's funny that they say that.
At the same time,
they're not practicing as long as
I know. Like it's kind of it's interesting. That's exactly it too. Where they're not practicing as much as they used to. We don't get the preseason as much as we used to. We don't. There's all kinds of things going on here, but we do have a strength and conditioning issue, big time. But I don't think strength and conditioning has anything to do with how our quarterbacks get hit a lot. A lot. There is a big glaring need that Shanahan, for some reason, will not address. So he took Pooney in the 3rd round.
Are you saying Trent Williams? Are you saying Trent Williams isn't big enough to block the whole line?
Trent Williams only plays one position, not 5.
But that's the only thing we got, right?
He was getting beat up yesterday. Like, he's starting to look old.
Oh,
know. I said it. If you want to unsubscribe, you're more than welcome to, but I like you to stay subscribed, please.
Being honest is the best call, right? If you can't listen to something and, say, hey, okay, maybe I disagree or agree, but to be honest, Trent Williams isn't getting any younger. And I have to believe if we would have won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, he probably wouldn't be on the team anymore. I don't think that's something that you can't take to the bank. He had the stanky leg a couple years ago. It's one of those injuries that just doesn't seem to go away with him. And like you said, other than Pooney, we all love a little bit of Pooney, right? But other than him, who else is on our line? We don't have anybody else on our line. Our best other lineman is George Kittle, and he's not a lineman. He's a tight end. So,
watching the last, our last play, the play that literally lost the game, which there were many, folks. You can't just single out one. Yesterday, there were many. But
when
Eric Armstead,
David,
Mr. Planner's fasciitis, kicked, mud-stomped Brindell, he probably still has a cleat mark on his face, and went right through him and the left guard to get to Brock Purdy. Now, it's like, okay, Shanahan, when are you finally going to admit the problem is the O-line? You need to protect your quarterback, especially if you're going to call slow developing plays. You need to protect your quarterback. You need to have 5 guys that are able to protect him in front of him. Trent Williams is still good. He's still good, but he's looking old, and he's been on one leg since 2021.
But was it a slow developing play, or did the players not run fast enough or throw the ball fast enough? I mean, like, how many seconds back there,
You know, I watched the replay multiple times, and I'm seeing a lot of slow developing plays. And it's like, you need to start doing the Jimmy Gimmies, like all over the field. I don't care. Dink and dunk them to death.
I thought we were done with saying the Jimmy.
Oh, I just injured my lungs talking about
it. We're not supposed to say Jimmy G on this channel anymore, David. His name is Richard Garoppolo.
James Richard Garoppolo. That is his name. Yes. But dink and dunk them to death. I don't care. Get the ball out of the quarterback's hands 2 seconds flat with the O-line you put in front of our quarterback. You cannot expect them to be able to wait for a 3 to 3.5 second play to develop.
So are you saying you're okay with maybe running the ball multiple times during the game, having a little bit of a boring game as long as we win? Or do you need to see flashy scores, 50-yard touchdowns, blowing teams out, or do you just want to win? What's more important to you, David, stats or winning?
Now, this is our 7th round pick rookie. This is how highly we value offensive linemen. I believe we took him with the 250-ish pick. I can't remember exactly. It was somewhere around 249, 252, so somewhere around there. But that's how highly they value offensive line. And then when they get asked about it, why didn't you take an offensive lineman earlier? Well, the guys we want weren't there. Oh, well, why didn't you take them earlier? But, at this point, it's like the quarterback's getting hurt is not the quarterback's fault. Okay, Shanahan, it's not. You need to protect them. You need to call fast developing plays, or you need to put an offensive line in front of them. Take your pick.
Well, that's kind of like saying a kicker who goes and kicks and misses, it's not his fault because the line didn't hold up long enough or something, right?
Laces in.
There's right? So many plays, right? You have so many players, dump-offs. Kyle Shanahan is the guru. He's the offensive genius. He just needs somebody to go out there and execute. And if Purdy isn't getting the ball out fast enough because he's got turf toe or something that's not going to allow him to be mobile, then maybe we shouldn't have started him. So this is my question. If Mac Jones was injured, right? Mac Jones, right? Who? Mac Jones. And if Purdy just wasn't up to his normal performance, how much money, millions of dollars are we paying him for him to come out and play like that? Why don't we go out and play the third stringer? If we weren't expecting to win that game or show the enthusiasm that we needed to win that game, why did we rush 2 injured quarterbacks or play, some kind of mind game and say, oh, we're going to play Mac Jones, we're going to play Brock Purdy? When the ownership comes out and says, we're selling a portion of the team, what are you doing? The team's 3-0. We have 2 quarterbacks that are mildly hurt. We have a defense that's barely holding on. We don't have to win. We don't have to win this game, but why are you going to go and send an employee out if he can't fully perform? If you put that third stringer out there, what? Do we have 3 different quarterback controversies now? We got 3 different guys that can play. Don't we want the best situation for the team? Controversy, makes, turmoil, makes, competitors, kind of like the Steve Young, Joe Montana thing. I don't get it. I was told, by somebody really close to the team, right? Like I have all these connections, but I was told, and I'm under the understanding that ownership told Mac, you're sitting, and Brock, you're playing. If you're good enough to play, because for the last 2 weeks, he's been practicing. So was Brock Purdy afraid to lose his job? Did ownership push him into starting? Because it makes no sense. We had 4 turnovers, and you can blame all 4 on Purdy.
Now, I'm relying on Levi for information, folks. Don't get me wrong, sending him that message in the chat. I just don't I have multiple, devices. I just don't feel like using them right now. But right now, our defense, they were not done any favors yesterday. They were a top 5 defense going into the game. I don't know what they're at right now, but they were a top 5 defense going into that game. And, the offense, to give the Jags a short field as many times as they did, they had 17 points off the turnovers. 17 points. So that's 17 points. The offense did not help the defense out, right?
Let's not talk about special yet.
We'll get there, Bryant. We'll get there. The kicker is not a problem. I'll say that right now. If you look at that, like, our defense actually held up pretty good against them, considering what they were handed. They did allow 19 points, 17. Was it 19 or it's like 20 points? 17 of those were off of turnovers. So, and then, I honestly look at our defense like we got hosed yesterday. Upton Stout does what pretty much every corner in the league does. Steps around the wide receiver. Yeah, he put his hand on his back, but he didn't change or hold or anything. What that wide receiver was doing, he didn't affect it whatsoever. Steps in front of him, gets the interception. They call pass interference because he had his hand on his hip, on the receiver's hip. What? Every corner in the league does that. Hello, refs. And he got hosed. It was his first interception. He got screwed. I'm not happy about that. And talking about missed calls, when the Jags ran that kickoff back for a touchdown, our coverage unit is last in the league right now, folks. No change there, even though we changed personnel and coaching. There was a block in the back right in front of a ref. He didn't call it. I've watched the replay several times. What do you do?
Well, you can't let one play determine the outcome of your team. And, sometimes plays do determine the outcome of the game. But good teams rise above bad play calling and they, bad penalties. And our team just didn't do that. It was like, I felt like everybody on the team came to play. But when they started seeing Purdy missing easy dink and dunk plays, he was just overthrowing people. It was hospital balls. It looked like Jimmy Garoppolo was out there. It felt like he was uncomfortable. It felt like he was really the deciding factor. Even as bad as you want to say the defense played, they didn't play that bad. It wasn't like Fred Warner almost had an interception, like 1 or 2 interceptions. If the special teams didn't give up the punt return for a kickoff, for a touchdown return, we lost by 6 points. We should have had that field goal. We should have had the field goal, but we decided to go for it on 4th down. Why? Because we want to try to prove that Purdy's some kind of gunslinger. And sometimes you aren't. If you're a Volkswagen, a Super Beetle, you're a Super Beetle, right? You got a little pep in the step, right? But if you're not, you got to be who you are, and maybe that Super Beetle gets good gas mileage and gets down the road and stuff like that. It needs a tune up every once in a while. But you're not a Prius, right? You don't just plug up and go. You don't get better gas mileage. You don't go 40 miles to a gallon. I mean, like, there's some things that just, I don't know. I mean, there's sometimes you can get better out of other things that you don't, agree about. And one of the things that was making Brock Purdy so, like, I don't know, like a sexy pick or, so much like, desirable was his contract. And now that he's, being paid like more than anybody else on the team, it's like, dude, you got to perform. And I don't have any like excuses, dude. You wanted to get paid as much money as you did. You wanted to, have a name on the back of your jersey. It was already there, but now money says your name. It's not your performance. It's not your statistics. If you won a Super Bowl, David, I'd be like, hey, if you want to beat the Eagles a couple years ago, we'd be like, that's the dude. But when you and me have conversations that are like, can he throw 50 yards? And you and me are both joking back and forth. Come on, like we're not paying you so many million. It's not $1 million for every yard you can throw, but you got to perform. And I like Brock Purdy. I like his confidence, but I feel like we rushed him back.
We did rush him back. He's still hurt. And like I was telling you, that's what I saw yesterday. The throws he was making, why are they just a little bit high? Because the pain is shooting up through his foot. And it affects your reflexes when that happens. And I mean, I honestly think they started the least injured quarterback. And if that's what you're going to do, throw the guy who I have no idea who is, Adrian Gonzalez. Throw him out there. Right? Throw him out there if that's what you're going to do.
I like what Papa J says here. It's like he says, who else lost a lot of games? Joe Montana, Steve Young, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, you name it, and they've lost games. But you know what? Out of all those names, those are quarterbacks that's had multiple years of having like 3 wins or 3 losses, 15 wins, 3 losses. Big scores. Lots of wins under those names. Brock Purdy, how many times has he been hurt? I think he's been hurt more than he's had good seasons. Out of the last 11 games, 12 games, he's been hurt. How many times? So it doesn't matter, like, really your success at a certain point. If you're not healthy, and when you are healthy, you still say, "Oh, well, you're hurt," and your performance on the team doesn't elevate others around you. Then why are you on the field? I mean, like, I can go to work and I can work all day, but if I feel like crap, I'm really holding everybody else back. If I don't get my normal duties done, when you're the quarterback and you're the leader on the team, we've gotten rid of a lot of weapons that he was able to disperse the ball to. And, to ask somebody, again, to come out and be like a gunslinger, if you have the mentality, the heart of a gunslinger, but you're not that guy. Like, anybody wants to go out and wants to shoot threes all day. Right now we're talking about basketball, right? But if you're not a 3-point shooter, you have to play within your limitations. And Brock Purdy's more of that guy that does layups. We need to focus on that. And what you do this year, we've kind of really taken away the run game. David, how many rushing touchdowns have we had this year?
I think aren't we still the only team in the league that doesn't have a rushing touchdown?
We have 0 rushing touchdowns. I thought yesterday that CMC got one. No, it was a pass. So when a quarterback doesn't have his best friend, and that's the rushing game, now you're putting more pressure on that quarterback. And you're asking the quarterback who doesn't have a rushing game and doesn't have mobility in his foot to go out there and play. I really feel like the Niners said, hey, this is a game. It's okay if we lose. Guys, go out there. That's not what the fans want. The fans don't want you to go out there.
Oh, where's the horse collar tag? No, never mind. Well, and again, is it Martinez? My bad, Adrian Martinez.
Yeah.
But my bad. I don't know who the freaking guy is. Okay.
Keep switching them out.
But, the whole reason I went through Kyle Shanahan's QB history is there's a constant problem. I don't think it's the quarterback. It's the quarterback gets hurt, and it's because we're not protecting the quarterback is why he gets hurt. So, Brock Purdy probably did try to rush himself back because he just signed this big contract. He feels like he has to be out there, right? And Mac Jones said, all right, Purdy, you're going out there. Now, what are they going to do in the Rams game?
We're going to put our heads between our knees and we're going to kiss our rear and we're going to hope like hell that nothing happens, right? Because we're not prepared to play the Rams. We are not prepared to play the Rams. The Rams have a team that will get the ball out very fast. And even if Matthew Stafford goes down, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to have his revenge game against the 49ers, just like Eric Armstead did This team, if we can't get pressure on the quarterback, we are really sunk. So it was, trade rumors, right? Speculations. If Mac Jones wouldn't have got hurt, I'm telling you, a week ago, we would have that dude from Cincinnati, 91. But we can't trade a hurt player. And what makes Mac Jones so, sexy, right, is he's on a 2-year contract. So we could trade him to someone else. We are not trading Brock Purdy because nobody wants to take on his contract. But Mac Jones, hey, you could get a quarterback for like a really cheap deal, and you've seen what the Niners offense has been able to do, what the Shanahan guru quarterback has been able to do with other quarterbacks. So we got to get an edge rusher. And unless we get some kind of pressure, David, I don't want to root against the Niners, and I'm not going to, but the Rams game, we don't look good. I think it would have been better if we would have tried to start the rookie quarterback, the third stringer, because at least nobody knew how he was playing. And if he would have got hurt, it would have been okay, right? We had 2 other options. We had the coach's son, who was a quarterback, and then we had Mordecai. And for whatever reason, they let both guys go. So it's not that hard to get people on the phone and say, hey, we had an injury. You want to come back?
Look, the way I look at it is if you're going to keep the offensive line the way it is and just have, bodies up there, more or less, like, we do have Dominique Pooney he still has a hurt knee. A lot of people are like, oh, I mean, his injury, I'm pretty sure it's lingering. He's not on the report, but he was injured to start the season. So, and then you got one leg Trent Williams, and then you got these guys that, like Connor Colby, the 250-something pick in the draft. You got Colton McKivitz, who was a 5th rounder many years ago, who we just signed to a extension. You put a speed rusher on him, he's going to get beat. He's going to get beat. You got Jake Brindle, an undrafted free agent who was in the league for many years and was a backup, and comes here and he's starting. Like, there's a reason he didn't start for those other teams. Okay, there's a reason.
Yeah,
and I mean, if you're going to keep doing this, all right, trade for Kirk Cousins, keep Brock Purdy, keep Mac Jones, keep Adrian Martinez, because you're going to need all.
Well, it's like they had a plan several times in a row, and they haven't been able to, get it done. We didn't want Sam Darnold, but Kyle Shanahan wanted him. A lot of people wanted Deshaun Watson at that time. They passed on Deshaun Watson. It's funny that we got eventually Sam Darnold, right? The Niners should have done everything possible to go after Matthew Stafford. We let the Rams get Matthew Stafford. What does Matthew Stafford do? He gets the ball out very fast. Does he need the best offensive line? No, it helps. Is the offensive line better in LA than it is the 49ers? Yes, but that's not the only issue. The issue is Matthew Stafford was on a bad team. He got beat the hell up all the time. He learned if he gets the ball out fast, they can't hit him. And we go ahead and let the enemy, the Rams, go ahead and get him. And that was the plan. Matthew Stafford was the plan. Now we go after Trey Lance, and it's just, did we really want him? We don't know if we really wanted him. And now we go into this whole big old debacle because we're now a team that doesn't have an identity. We have to have a quarterback. And then we find Mr. Irrelevant, and he keeps getting hurt. That's relevant, David. So if anybody says Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant, no. He's Mr. Injury.
No, Bryant, the reason I went through Kyle Shanahan's history is it's not every quarterback Shanahan has. Everyone. I don't think it's the player. It's the coach and his philosophy.
I mean, it's kind of really weird because if you look at Shanahan, you go back to RG3, he got hurt, right? His knee got eviscerated. Maybe Matt Ryan was the only one out of his career that he didn't get destroyed. Brian Hoyer, when he was with Cleveland, he had a good run with Brian Hoyer back then, but when he comes to the 49ers, Brian Hoyer made the 49ers look really bad. There was the one game against the Rams where they went up it was back and forth. It was almost a 40-point game. But for the most part, Brian Hoyer, once he got hit and figured out the offensive line wasn't blocking. So, David, how long is it going to be then? Because I think you kind of pointed out, and we both have talked about this for years. How long is it going to be before Kyle Shanahan realizes that he needs an offensive lineman?
I just don't. I mean, this has been going on for years. The whole fan base is like, yeah, it's the draft. Let's get some O-line. Okay, what are you guys doing? By the end of the draft, we're like, they don't care about O-linemen. We signed Ben Barch, Mr. Can't stay healthy in the first place before he joins us. What do you think's going to happen? All right. What do you think's going to happen? You think he's just going to magically stay healthy with us? No, he's not. He's a good offensive lineman, but he can't stay healthy. And now we got Jake Brendel, an undrafted free agent. We got Connor Kobe, the, last, literally 250th-ish pick-ish. I don't remember what pick it was exactly. You got the 5th rounder Colton McKivitz starting. You got Trent Williams, who's been good in the league for a long time, but the guy is old and on one leg. He's on the tail end of his career. He's not going to be around forever. I mean, it's like it just comes a certain point in time where it's like, when is Shanahan going to realize the problem ain't the quarterbacks getting hurt? It's they're not protected, so they're getting hurt. It goes together, right? It goes together. Look at Cincinnati. Look at their current situation. Joe Burrow. What happened to him? He got hit. He got hurt. Right? Their O-line is not good. They don't address it. The guy constantly gets beat up. And I mean, in Atlanta, when Shanahan was there with Matt Ryan, they had an offensive line established already. So he didn't have anything to do with that, but now it's like he's built this team and you just don't value offensive linemen whatsoever. And on top of that, I think our offensive line coach is a problem too.
Well, it seems like because he's been our head coach for 10 years now, it seems like when he first took over being the 49ers head coach, we were so depleted on all areas. Everybody remembers the Chip Kelly era and the Jim Tomsula era. Nobody wanted to come play for the 49ers. Kaepernick made it really bad. Agree with me or not, Kaepernick made it really bad to come to Levi Stadium and play. It was bad. Politics has a big portion on where you go and play, and taxes. In California right now, when you come to California and you get paid to play sports, you get taxed really bad. So we have to overpay talent to come here. We have to really beg people to come to play, and that's not fair, right? But since Shanahan took over the team, we were bad. 22 different starters, everybody left, So for them to say, okay, well, we need a wide receiver, we need a quarterback, we need a tight end, we need a running back, we need everything except an offensive lineman. It's almost like they did everything except build an offensive lineman. And almost a decade later, we're still looking at, we need an offensive lineman. We need an offensive line, right? You guys keep drafting every year, defensive edges, defensive tackles. You keep trading them off every year. It seems like we have to, but they just keep heading out. So at this point, I feel like they're getting by with less and feel like they're good. I don't.
Sorry, I'm watching Tyreek Hill get carted off the field.
Oh no! And see, he's another one everybody wanted.
So Bryant, I have no good answer to this question.
Let me put my avatar up real quick.
Do you?
Tell me, David, what do you really want to say?
I mean, there is, but the last big time guy we signed was Javon Hargrave, and we cut him because he just wasn't working out for us. Now he's over in Minnesota looking decent. That's it. There is no. They signed Quan Alexander back in the day, but he got hurt and Dre Greenlaw took over and he got let go. Hold on, Richburg. Remember the center? Oh, that's right. He got hurt and had to retire.
Which one was the sweaty one? Richburg was the sweaty one, right? And then our next center, he had to get married, right?
No. The guy that got married, Alex Mack.
Yeah, he got
Alex
married.
Mack. That was the guy with the sweaty nuts.
No. I think it was Richburg. I think Richburg was the sweaty one.
Was Richburg the sweaty one?
Yeah, because Jimmy had to play with him longer, right? And we got Richburg, and they made a big deal about him being, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but another man's sweat, you can't beat that. I guess you can if it's messing up your balls or paws. I don't know, but David, I don't get it. They just don't seem to want to invest in the offensive lineman. But you know what they do want to invest in, folks? If you haven't heard it here, breaking news, I'm sure you've heard it before. The ownership wants to invest in a completely different sport. So go Niners. Let's go all in. Let's do everything we can. And everybody have a great day. Go Leeds too, right? Because at this point, if the Yorks keep having their way, they're going to just keep selling this franchise off. And then maybe that might be the deciding factor to get us over the top when the Yorks are no longer owners in this team. Because I think, honestly, the Niners are going back to San Francisco, and the Yorks are going to keep Levi Stadium and turn it into a soccer stadium. I kind of really, truly feel that's what's going to happen, David.
Now they did invest heavily in soccer, didn't they?
Oh,
and it's like, can you guys need to focus and win a Super Bowl here? Okay, focus. Can you? Yes, that's what he had, Kenny, and he wasn't able to come back. It's the worst injury a big feller can have, right? Now, Levi, this is true, but right now we are literally in cap hell. We have it's like 87 million-ish in dead cap this year, which a lot of it's going to clear out at the end of the year because of how we did it. We still have somehow $40 million to spend. I don't know. Our cap specialist must be some stinking genius that went to Yale and Harvard at the same time. Okay. That must be our cap specialist. Well, I have no idea even who that is. But, and you're not lying. Who was it? Drew Dahlman, the guy the Bears signed. I wanted him at center for a reason, because he is an upgrade over Brendel. And would Eric Armstead truck him and leave a cleat mark across his face like what happened yesterday? Probably not. But, it's week after week, like Brock Purdy last year, he had, I think, 63 rushes, which the year before it was literally, I think the year before he had a third of that. So if that doesn't tell you, the guy is running. Why is he running? Because there's pressure coming from the defensive line. So there's a whole bunch of signals that a guy that's considered to be a genius, which is our head coach, should notice. You can tell me I'm wrong, folks, but we all see it, don't we? It's disappointing. I mean, watching that game yesterday, the offense couldn't get out of their way. Brock Purdy, he threw that pass to CMC. It was a little high. That's on him. I honestly think that the pain shooting up his leg from the toe is what caused him to throw 2 inches high. If you don't notice his passes all game yesterday, little high. Okay, obviously you're in pain, right? Obviously. But yeah, that interception was on him. The second one was tipped by the defensive line. I don't think I can blame the offensive lineman for that because that was a good play by the defensive lineman. All right, you can't blame the offensive line for that. The fumbles, I mean, Tongas, I like Tongas, but you got to hold on to the ball that early in the game, man, you know. And the last one, it was just like, you know, the cleat mark across Jake Brendle's face. And, I mean, we played horrible yesterday, except our defense stood tall. They did. They stood tall. But the offense was horrible. Special teams was horrible, minus the kicker. He did great. And now it's like, what do? You know, you have a short week. How much time do you have to clean this mess up? You don't. Now you're going to face the LA Rams, who have been building a team for a few years. And, you know, they played a tough game in Philly. They lost, right? They beat the Colts at home, which the Colts, no one knew that the Colts would be decent. We still don't know what they're going to be. It's not the end of the season. But it's like we have, 3 days to forget about that game and clean up the mess that happened? I just don't feel like it's enough time. I do not have much confidence in this game on Thursday, folks.
Well,
and it hurts me to say that.
Honestly,
Shanahan's record against McVay, he is still on top. Maybe somehow we pull it out. You never know.
Honestly, other than the punt return we were in the game, and then it just so happens that, you know, the revenge game, Eric Armstead got his birthday wish or whatever. That doesn't always happen. He totally spun Brunswick. It was Jake Brendle, right? Jake Brendle. He totally spun him around. But even with, and if we would have kicked that field goal instead of going for fourth down, we would have only lost by 3 points. We actually would have won, you know, if it wouldn't have been for that punt return. So it's like, we've been saying it for years, since like 2019, that special teams is like the weakest unit on our league, on our team, right? And everybody says special teams, you know, sucks. We don't care about it. We need an offensive lineman. Well, it wasn't the offensive lineman that necessarily was overthrowing wide receivers. It wasn't the offensive lineman that had the problem with the timing. It was Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy came in, tried to do Brock Purdy things, and, you know, you don't have George Kittle. You know, Ayuk, I don't know if he's ever coming back. CMC, he hasn't scored a touchdown since he got hurt. You know, a rushing touchdown, right? We don't have anybody.
Well, he's got a receiving. He had a receiving touchdown. So
yeah,
but
he's a running back, and his running game is kind of really like. So it's really hard. You know, you can't put everything on one player, like you said earlier. But there was definitely some issues. And then if nobody ever seen it, Saleh had some words for, you know, Cohn, the head coach over there on the Jaguars. They believe there was some signals being stolen and, you know, stuff like that. So it's one of those things. It's not the results we wanted. It's not. And we have to do
I
better.
like how you switched to Shanahan's face where he said that, though. That was
it's not the results we want.
Hey, your wife is right. She's 100% right. Red zone allergies are unacceptable. Juice seems to be doing his job. You know, the wide receivers yesterday. We haven't talked about that, have we?
We have wide receivers, David? I didn't see any.
We have some guys out there. Like Ricky Purcell was playing hurt, and I think it was obvious he wasn't up to speed.
Well, he got hurt later in the game and was totally taken.
He was playing hurt to start with, too. So here we go. You know, you got Juwan Jennings playing hurt. You got him playing hurt. Yet Kendrick Bourne must have ate some greasy chicken before the game because he had like a couple drops.
But everything that dropped was over his head too, you know. So it's like, hey, Brock Purdy, you know how tall Kendrick Bourne is?
The thing is like if it's right here and his hands are on it, he's got to catch that. You know, he's got to catch. I saw a drop that was perfect thrown by Brock Purdy. It had a good chance of being a touchdown, but he dropped it. We had 7 drops yesterday. That's what our pass catchers were credited with. 7 drops. I'm sure there's a few like a few that they didn't list that were Brock Purdy throwing high, because that. Now, what did he play? He played 1 game, right? Yeah, he played 1 game. And they didn't play him hardly much in the preseason at all. This is his second game of the season, and he's playing with turf toe and a bum shoulder, non-throwing shoulder, but still bum.
So is he gonna give us a discount? Is he giving us any money?
Now, hey, it's like, if I was a QB playing for the 49ers, I would be asking for $100 million a season behind that offensive line.
Nah.
I'd be like, you're not going to protect me? I need $100 million a season, okay?
All you got to do is get rid of the ball, throw it away, dump it off to CMC. I mean, it's easy.
That's what he's been doing. That's what's been happening anywhere from 8 to 10 times a game at this point. CMC's been he's literally the leader in receptions right now. I think Purcell's the leader in yards. But it's like, I mean, it was failures on every level. Offensive line sucked. But, we're talking about all that. Let's get to the other thing, the coaches, right? So Lam Cohn, the Jaguars head coach, during the course of the last week, he talked about, they steal signs from the other team, defensive signals, and they relay it to the offense so the offense knows what play to call. Oh, that's legal? That's legal? He's like, well, it's not against the rules. It's not against the rule. This is one of those unsaid rules in the NFL. It's a respect thing. And I mean, if you're gonna, if that's how your team's gonna win games, all right. We'll see where you're at the end of the season while you're going home in the playoffs first round, because you can't beat a real team. We'll see what happens there. But if that's what you got to do to win games, are you really a good coach? I mean, what do you think, Bryant? If you got to steal signs from the other team to get an advantage, are you a good coach?
Well, that's kind of like saying, are you a good student if you have to look over the table and someone's shoulder to see what they answered and figure out, if that's what is best for you? Football is football. Hand signals happen. Baseball has hand signals. All sports really have, kind of some similar signals. They're signals for a reason, so the other team doesn't know exactly what you're doing. But when the other team is paying attention and says, "Oh, they're going to throw a fastball," or "Oh, they're going to go for a quarterback sneak here," kind of takes away that.
They know what defensive play is playing, and obviously they're putting a lot of work into this, because they know the other team's signals, so they're paying people to watch it and learn. So when they're on the field, they can go, all right, this is what they're doing. Let's call this offensive play to counter it. But their offense still needed us to turn the ball over so they could score 17 points. And their special teams scored, 7? So their offense really, out of all that, came up with 3 points that we didn't give them because, we didn't turn. Obviously, that was an actual drive that they kicked that field goal on, not just a turnover that they get a short field with.
That's what's really upsetting. This loss is we didn't because we didn't lose because of the offense and Brock Purdy throwing high, because we managed that. We didn't lose because the defense didn't catch the interceptions. We didn't lose because the kicker missed. No, the kicker made the kicks. We lost because we weren't able to tackle on special teams on a punt return. We lost by 6 points, and we really would have lost by 3 points if we would have went, and kicked the field goal instead of going for it on 4th down. So, going for it on 4th down and not stopping a kickoff, that's because if we would have made the field goal, right, we would have been up.
Well, and this is on top of the offense playing horrible, right? This is on top of that. if they would have stopped the kickoff and hit that field goal, right?
The offense really didn't even play that horrible. I mean, there was moments where, there was some overthrown passes and stuff, but the wide receivers got open. The plays were there to be made. It was some execution, but we still played well enough on that side of the ball to win the game. It was special teams. It was special teams. Can't stop anybody.
Okay, hold on.
That's what's gonna happen.
Okay, so to sum up what Levi is saying here, our offensive line sucks.
Yeah. They're gonna suck all year, but
yeah, they're I mean, for heaven's sake, honestly, I would take if Burford wasn't on IR, I would take him at left guard. He would be an upgrade. Okay.
But then look at some of the greatest offensive lines, and this is just an opinion, but when you think of Dallas, right? Most of the time people think of Dallas having a good offensive line. I don't care if you put 40 points up. If you still tie, you still tie. So is that the offensive lineman's fault, or is that coaching decision? Is that the defense? We lost again because of special teams, because of the punt return. We might beat the Rams this week, but we have to be dialed in. And if they're going to blame this loss on the coaches knowing our plays, our hand signals on the other side of the field, okay.
I don't think now can we though? Can we? I mean, we did have 4 turnovers, right? You got to give their defensive players credit for forcing the fumbles. You got to give the one guy credit for tipping the pass. You got to blame that one INT on Brock because he did throw a little bit high for CMC, But when it comes down to it, I don't know how much that actually, we don't know how much that actually affected the game. I'm sure it did to a certain extent, but our defense, our defense is what that was affecting, and they were standing tall though.
There was 2 times. There was 2 times at least I seen that Fred Warner almost intercepted a pass. There was points where other players almost come up with turnovers. We just didn't have it. It just didn't bounce to our favor. And again, we're going to play with this offensive alignment, all year. They're not going to go and draft anybody. We'll be or trade for anybody. We will be lucky if they trade for an edge rusher. But even with that, it wasn't the defense fault. It wasn't the offense fault. It wasn't changing the quarterback. It was not tackling on special teams. And if you look at last year, what happened to 3 different kickers? They didn't stop the run, and 3 different kickers got hurt last year trying to stop a kick. Trying to stop a kick return. So, I mean, I guess put more money into, the backups maybe, get some guys that want to hit, want to tackle. David, I feel a little bit better going into the Rams because we finally, maybe we got a little bit of the, we're on cloud 9, nothing can get, happen to us, we're 3-0.
The only thing that makes me feel good about going into the Rams, Bryant, you ready? Our team is pissed off from losing like that yesterday. They're pissed.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing we have rolling in here. The Rams just won a game. Yay, they're on cloud 9. We're pissed off. We just lost. So that's the one thing we have going into this game. And who's that? I have no idea. Oh, that's that guy that all kinds of people wanted to draft that I said, hell no. Pardon the French. But he had the Solomon Thomas vibes. Killed it at the combine, but 4.5 sacks through 3 seasons starting in college. That's his career numbers. Solomon Thomas vibes. Okay. Shout out to Cincinnati for taking him in the first round.
Oh my gosh, Cincinnati, man. That's a whole different. We could be a lot worse, guys. We could be a lot.
Honestly, if we had Joe Burrow, he'd probably just be hurt. Let's be honest here. He'd probably just be hurt. You know, he'd be in the same situation on a team. Well, not the same situation because, you know, Jamar Chase, that's a hell of a wide receiver. All right.
All right, let's do that little situation, quarterback exercise. Can you think of any quarterback that would be on the 49ers team right now that potentially wouldn't be hurt? I'd like to say Deshaun Watson, but you know, we already know, you know, the massage therapy thing ain't gonna fly in San Francisco. But his mobility, and he did get hurt, so you know, we can say he's not Superman, right? But it would have to take a extremely mobile quarterback and a very smart quarterback, right? We had RG3 under Shanahan already get hurt, so the only guy I could think of, David, that wouldn't get hurt or would have a decent, it would be Josh Allen. Can you think of any other quarterback that the Niners could have on their team this year behind this offensive lineman that?
I mean, but behind this offensive line, if you're talking about a guy that's going to take off running, that's like a little Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts type.
Yeah.
You know, that would be the type of quarterback we need. You know, and we just don't.
What do you think? What do you think of Jalen Hurts? Have you seen the offsides tush push happening more often? They don't seem to call offsides on that, do they?
They don't. It looks like they're offsides every time, though, don't it?
Just about, huh? A little funny.
I mean, it does. It does. And the thing that kind of makes me creeped out about it is, you know, Saquon Barkley looks like he's enjoying what he's doing. You know, it's like I know you guys are like close friends, but
here's another really good point, because I brought it up a couple times now. You have Dak Prescott, who put up 40 points, Jordan Love 40 points, Lamar Jackson, we know he can put up 40 points. Just because you can put up points doesn't mean that you are all in all the best quarterback manager. You know, I mean, honestly, the winner of the game is the one who has the points and has the ball in his hand at the end of the game, right? So, David, where do we go wrong? We had Jimmy Garoppolo. We had two head running backs. They were taking the ball down 14 minutes a quarter, 15 minutes a quarter, but we wanted that sexy offense.
Hey, we had three running backs, remember? We had Mostert. What was that guy from the Falcons? What was his? Coleman
and Breida.
Coleman and Breida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we wanted to
throw the ball. Three-headed running back.
We wanted to throw the ball deep, right? We wanted to score fast, right? We didn't care about dominating the game.
Yeah, so you draft Trey Lance because he can, you know, throw it 80 yards.
I don't think our fans know what we really want. And I love Jason too. You know, a lot of fans are complaining right now because we lost. But, you know, anytime the 49ers lose, the sky is falling, because we believe that on any given day, why should we lose, right? There should be no reason we lose. But we have seen flaws in this offense and this team for a little while now, and we've gotten lucky winning 3 in a row. Do I feel confident that we won't lose 3 in a row? No, because I'm going to take it one day at a time, but we have the potential to lose 3 in a row. Guys, I'm not turning colors. I'm not changing teams. I'm going to stay with them. I'm going to stay faithful, but I'm going to see it, and I'm going to say it as I call it. I'm going to see it and say it as I call it, right? You can't put, you know, lipstick on a pig and still not be a pig. It's still a pig, right? You know, so sooner or later we got to get an offensive lineman, David. We need to teach our kicker and our punter to tackle, right?
Oh man, dude, that's what happened last year. Remember, that's how isn't that?
All 3 kickers.
Moody got hurt because he was trying to tackle a guy from a kickoff return. And Wazowski got hurt because he was trying to tackle a guy from a punt return. It's like
all of them. Everything. Yeah.
So this is what we've learned from Shanahan being in Frisco so long. Number one, he does not value O-line. Does not care about the offensive line. Just put a body out there. Me and Bryant could go play offensive line. And then when it comes to special teams, he doesn't give a crap about the coverage unit. So there it is, folks. There's the two things we've learned with Shanahan being with the 49ers for so long.
Oh, and he doesn't care. He loves his quarterback, but he doesn't care to protect them. You're on your own, guy.
I kind of feel like he likes his quarterback, but he doesn't love him because he doesn't protect him.
It's like he's a little jealous, right? Shanahan didn't play quarterback in high school or in college. He played wide receiver. So maybe his quarterback wasn't too nice to him, and he's taking it out on everybody else. David, it's always been a great talking with you. It's a great show.
It is. And Kittle might be back week 6. Might be. That's pretty much our 6 offensive lineman right there. I thought Farrell was going to be in there blocking a lot, and he is, but it ain't helping much.
Nah. It seems like we need a little bit more than what we got right now. And as it sits,
and you ain't lying. But yeah, it's time for us to get on with our night. All right, I kind of feel like I went off on this gigantic rant, Bryant. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, I enjoy it. I can't make it every Monday, but today was fun, and I'll try to be back as soon as I can next time. Guys, thanks for coming. Please subscribe to David McNiner. If you see my channel out there and you're not subscribed, please do that. It helps. But don't expect much out of me for right now. I'm doing the grind as much as possible at our local post office. And with that, guys, stay faithful. And yeah, we'll be looking forward.
Yeah, folks, it's time to get on out of here. Niners coast to coast tomorrow, where I'll be ranting and we'll have Ty on here going, whoa. This should be good. I love you, Ty. But that should be good. And then Wednesday night we got the Pick'em show, which I think I'll be done ranting by then, and find out if I pick the Rams, folks. Will I pick the Rams?
Oh, never.
I mean, it's like the chances of me picking the Rams are about as good as me getting some cornrows up in here. It's like, look. Oh, that's right. I got no hair. Sorry, but I'm just telling you, that's the chances. Everybody have a great night. As Corey Davis says, go 49ers and F all 31 other teams.